Hello everyone and welcome to our Divi feature update live, streaming every Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern. Now, if my audio is okay, please do let me know in the comments box before we get started with the show. Right, if you can hear me loud and clear, please do let me know in the comments box. If you're on Facebook, just give me a thumbs up. If you're on YouTube, please just say yes or just type a 1. Okay, so Torrent says audio is okay, but a bit quiet. Okay, does that sound better? Okay, hope it's okay. Fantastic. Right. So welcome. We have another update for you. And this one is actually very, very important for me because this is an update which pretty much makes or breaks your design. But before we talk about that, I'd like to welcome everyone who's just tuning in. And over here we have Ninja, Texas. He was the first one in the live stream to join. That's fantastic. We have Sanjeevi, I think, Agante. We have Toran, Monique from USA, Diwang, Alexander. We have Jantine, I think. Let's see, Evie. We also have Nancy from Delaware. That's amazing. Nice to see you. We have Wayne, I think it's Ushus, Carlos. Fantastic. Now, let me just check here on Facebook and see. Right, on Facebook, we have Gary, Joseph, Mauro, I think, Ninad. Excellent. Right. So I'm really happy to be here and also hosting this show. Now, as I was mentioning, this update is very, very important for me because when I studied visual communication, color was one of those subjects which was very important, but at the same time, you had to get it right for everything to work. Now, it also applies to web design. If you use your colors correctly, you will find that your designs will look professional. Now, without this update, it meant we would need to build our color palettes from external websites like adobe.com. In fact, let me show you the website so you can see it. Because the key to good color selection is color harmonies. And these are also included in the feature that we're going to be talking about today. Right, so let me just show you the color harmonies here. Right, so if we take a look here, this is the Adobe website. They provide this for free. But the color harmonies are basically colors that work well together, okay? So if we take a look here, we have analogous, monochromatic, triad, complementary, compound, shades, and you can also create custom colors. So if you wanted to build a professional looking website, you would need to come over here and make sure that the colors that you're using really work well together. So let's say, for example, you want to use complementary colors, you would come over here, and complementary colors are pretty much colors that opposite each other on the color wheel. So these colors here, as I'm moving this, actually work well together. I mean, we also have an option to go in and start making even further tweaks. So this is our base color, so we can make it a bit darker. But as you can see, if you were to build a website with these colors, they would work pretty well together, okay? So this is the color harmonies. Now, the feature I'll be talking about today is our new color manager. Now, this, as I mentioned, is very exciting because we get quite a lot of features. And for those of you who don't use color wheels or color harmonies, this is a huge deal because this is going to take your design, your websites to the next level. They're going to look even more professional. So I'm going to be showing you step by step how to actually use this new color manager. Right. So first of all, if you want to use this color manager, you have to update to from Divi 3.7.1 to Divi 3.9. Okay, so you have to be running the latest Divi. So it's 3.9. So what this color manager does is it allows us to be creative and also efficient. Okay, so again, I'll be showing you through this how that works. We also have a brand new interface. So the way the color is going to be used is going to be quite interesting, and I'll also be showing you that. We can also access recently used colors. Now, this is something that we didn't have before. Now, in my workflow, I would have to copy and paste these colors every time I need to use the color that I need. And sometimes, or not sometimes, this definitely made my workflow much, much slower because I had a text document which had all my colors, and I'll go there, copy, paste each color that I needed to use. Now, all that is gone, okay, in the new update. Now it's also easier to manage colors, and also you can explore color suggestions. And I'll be going into detail talking about these color suggestions and how they can make your website look professional. And one of the most important thing here is we have our own color algorithm, okay? So how it works is if you have saved colors, like let's say your initial palette, right? Automatically, Divi will create colors that work well together with your color palette, your initial color palette. And also in your used colors, Divi will also produce colors that work well together with that. So it is quite interesting, and I'm sure when you see me working on this, I mean, you can appreciate what we've come up with. So enough talking now. Let's dive in and let me show you how this works. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go to Divi. So I'm just going to open a page. In fact, before I do that, let me just check if there's if everything is okay in the comments here. Torrent says, I never got the hang of color wheels, so I would like this new update. Yes, I mean, to be honest, colors, some people have the gift of just like artists. For example, if we take a look at, let's say, those old paintings, using the latest technology now, we can actually say, oh, wow, this painting used the complementary colors for that painting to work. And some colors, I mean, some paintings use, and I'm talking about these like famous painters. So back in the day, these were like pure artists. They had that gift of knowing which colors work well together. I mean, that's why they are very, very famous. So today, just because you're starting to design websites does not necessarily mean that you have that gift of knowing which colors work well together. So this feature right here is going to make that job even easier. Even myself, I mean, I've studied visual communication and graphic design, but I still need that guide of making sure that my colors work well together. So yes, it can be quite difficult to get the hang of how these color harmonies work. Okay. Right. Okay. Let's dive in. So seems like everything is okay. So I'm just going to go to my page right here. So this is just a basic, Divi page. In fact, let me delete this so we can start from scratch. So I'm just going to have one column. And in that column, let's start working with blurbs. So I'm going to select that. Right. So I'm just going to add a few things here so that we have enough things to work with. Okay, so I'm going to come over here to image and icon. Instead of having an image, I'll rather have an icon. So I'm just going to click here to activate my icon, and then I'm going to choose an icon to work with. So, okay, let's go with this one right here. Okay, so I'm going to go with that. And then I'm going to come over here to design. So now that we have our blurb, we are going to start adding all our colors. So initially I have a color palette right here. Okay. So now if I come over here to these three little dots, if I click this, look at that. Now all these colors here are colors that were created using the algorithm, and these colors are colors that work well together, and they're based on the color palette, which is very, very exciting. Okay. And then over here, this is where we get to see our recently used colors. Okay, now right now I have colors because I've been playing around with this feature just to see how it works. So these are the recently used colors. So let's come back over here. No, in fact, I need to use my saved colors. So let's say I start off with this color right here. So this is the color of the icon, and then I'm going to come over here to the circle, and let's say I need to also use a color that works well with that. So what I can do now is I can go to my recent, which will show this color that I've just chosen. Okay. Now, if I click here on these three little dots, look at all these colors that we have now, which we can use. So the technique here is, if you want things to stand out, use a dark background and a light foreground. Okay. This is how you get that contrast. Okay. Don't use colors that are very close to each other. Okay. So let me show you how that works. So right now we can see here that this blue does not really work well with that color. So this is where I need a darker color. So if I do that, we can see now that not only do these two colors work well together, but we have beautiful contrast. We can actually see our icon, and that looks really nice. Okay, now let's move on to the next thing. So I'm going to come over here, and let's say I need to change the color of that text. And let's say I need to use my recent colors. So if I come over here to my recent colors, so these are the colors that I've been using, I can easily now select it, and boom, just like that, I have my recent colors. Now, from if this was before the update, we have no option to use our recently used colors, because sometimes you can actually come in here and choose a totally different color that you want to use. So in order for you to get back to that color, you would actually need to copy this hexadecimal value, add it onto a text document, and then the next time you want to use it, you'd copy and paste it. So that's gone now. Thank God for that. Okay, so over here, again, I can go into my colors, and I can use my recent colors or colors from suggested for my color palette. Okay, so let's go with the dark color here. Okay, dark gray. Right. So let's say we want to make this a bit more exciting and add a background to that. Okay, so let me show you how the colors would work. Now, before I continue, I just want to make sure that everything is okay in the comments. So I'm just going to take a quick look and see if everything is okay. Now, if you have any questions, please do drop your questions in the comments box, and I'll do my best to respond to those questions. Okay. Okay, if you're just joining us, this is the Divi feature update live. Today, we are talking about the new Divi color manager. Now, this is a brand new tool. In order for you to start using this, you have to update to the latest Divi update, which is version 3.9. Now, this color manager is fantastic because we can now access our colors easier. We can also access our recently used colors. And also we have an algorithm that works out colors that work well together using your existing colors. So this is something that can be a bit challenging if you are not good at using color. So this now enables us to actually design better looking websites, professionally looking websites, because we now have the ability to start using colors correctly. And this is all within Divi. So this is what we're talking about today. Okay. AV says, I think it's AV, says, why is the new color feature not included in the background? Yes, the color feature is not included in the background because every time you start designing your website, you need to start off with a base color, or a base color palette, okay? So let's say you've got a brand new Divi install and you're just starting to design. You can't get suggestions based on no colors. So you do need initial colors for Divi now to suggest those colors. Now, when you're talking about specifically the background, you need to use solid colors that are from your actual color palette. And then moving forward, the colors now that you're going to use are going to be colors that work well with the initial colors that you have chosen, the initial color palette. Okay? Hope that answers that. Okay, I'm just looking for questions here. Okay, I'm just going to check here on Facebook and just make sure that okay, right. So no questions so far. I guess that's a good sign. So right, so let's continue. I'm just going to switch over here to my desktop now. Okay, right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a background, and then I'm also going to show you how you would start implementing this new update. So let's come over here to content. Okay, so I'm going to come to background, and we are going to add a background color. So these colors here are my initial colors that I had that I added to my website. So I'm going to go with this color right here. Okay, so as you can see here, things have changed. These colors don't necessarily work well together. So let's go ahead and fix that. So I'm just going to come over here to design, and let's just make that background look much better. So I'm going to come to border. We're going to add some rounded corners there. Okay, and also let's have 3 columns here. Okay, that's much better. Okay, I'm going to go back in here. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some space around this. So I'm going to go to design, spacing. So we're going to play around with our padding. So I'm going to activate my chains here so we can have enough padding. So I think 40 is enough. Let's do that here as well. Okay, that looks much better now. Okay, now let's start adding all our colors. So now that we have a solid background color, I'm going to come over here to this paintbrush tool, and let's work now with our icons. So my rule of thumb here is let's start off with the colors. I mean, with the circle here. So I'm going to click. So here, as you can see, we have our saved colors and also our recent colors. So on our saved colors, this is a color from my color palette, so I can just go straight in and use that one if I wanted to. But if I come over here to my recent, I can also expand this, and we can see all the colors that would work well with this. So all these colors here are good. But as I mentioned, the rule of thumb here is to use colors that have contrast. So you want to make sure that if you have a dark background, you have a foreground that is light so people can read or see whatever you have on your site. So so over here, I mean, let's see. I can actually work with this color right here. In fact, I think that's nice. Now, let's go to the icon color. So on the icon color, again, I can go to my recent colors, expand this, and now that I have this color here, I need a very light color for the foreground. So I'm going to try that one. And again, as you can see, that color I think looks really nice. Okay, now moving on. Now, because we have a dark background here, we also need this text to be easier to read. So if I click this paintbrush, now we can access our colors for our text. So our current color here doesn't really work. So let's see. I'm going to go to my color palette, expand this, and from my color palette, I'm going to choose a color that works with that. So let's try this one here. Okay, so that one is a bit for my recent colors. So as I mentioned, you would have to copy, paste, go back to your text document and get these colors. But now it's much easier to use, okay? Right, so as you can see, I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't copied and pasted colors. All this was done within our new color manager. So any questions? I'm also going to do another example, just for those of you who are joining us, just to show you how quickly you can start using this color palette. So I'm just going to check here and see if we have questions. Right. Right, I can see here that something is wrong with my bandwidth. I've just noticed this in the comments box. Is this the case for everyone? Can everyone see me? If so, please just give me a thumbs up or give me a 1 on YouTube, because I'm sure some of you here are saying they can't see me. That is strange. Okay, some are saying offline. Okay, so it looks like everything is okay now. I can see a lot of ones. Fantastic. Okay, great. I'm just going to check here on Facebook and make sure that everything is okay. Right. So, what do you think about this latest color palette? Do you think it's something that's useful, that you're also going to start using in your workflow? Just to let me know in the comments box, because in my opinion, I think this is fantastic, because everything now is all in one place and you don't have to go, hunting for colors that work well together. So this, I think, is fantastic. And also what you could do is, let's say you don't have an initial color palette, the colors that you start using. So let's say you want to use red as your main, dark red as your main color. Divi now will actually start creating colors around that red that work well with your website. So this again is really, really powerful. Wow, Matt says, yes, it's a great course because I don't have to use browser add-ons or a lot of other things. That's actually true, because there are cases where you would have to use some browser add-ons to save your colors or help you with selecting the colors that work well together. So yes, I agree. This is fantastic. Okay, so let's do this one more time. I'm going to choose another module, and we're going to go through the process of selecting colors that work well together. Okay, fantastic. Right, so as I mentioned, if you have any questions, please do drop them in the comments box, and I'll do my best to respond to those questions. Now, before I go in and do another example, the most important thing when you use color is contrast, okay? If you want your text to really stand out, so let's say you choose black as your color, your text color, make sure you have a really light background so that black is like really showing very well on your page. If you're going to use a dark background, make sure you use light text. And also this applies to graphics or even images. So that's the main key. Once you master that, all the colors that you're going to use are going to work really well together. And the good thing as well is you can actually choose the colors and see if it's actually working, which I think is great. So let's do one more example and I'll show you how to work with this new color palette. Right, so I'm going to switch over here to my desktop. I'm just going to save this. Okay, now I'm going to add another blurb. Okay, this time let's do, in fact, the blurb is fine because we can work with different colors. Okay, so first off, I'm going to come over here to my icon. I'm going to choose a different icon. This time we're going to go with this. Okay, and let's choose a different background. This time we want to use a light background, so we can do pretty much the opposite of this. So I'm going to come over here to my background. And let's choose, okay, so let's customize this color here. We need a light gray. Okay, so I'm going to use that as my background color. Now let's move on here to design, and let's fix our borders. So I'm just going to add about 6 to my corners, and then over here on spacing, I'm going to add some padding, like that. Okay, so This doesn't have to be perfect. This is just for example, as an example. Okay, so now that I have all my spacing all set up, now let's work with our icon. So I'm going to click here to access my icon. Now, if you use the rule of thumb that I mentioned, your contrast is very important. So over here, I'm going to start off with a circle, and I'm going to add my circle. Now, as you can see, that color that I've just added is really dark, so now we can really see the circle. Now let's add our color to our icon. So over here, I can see all my recently used colors, or I can expand this, and over here you have a choice to choose your palettes or your color harmonies based on your saved colors or your recent colors. Okay, so because we used a color from our initial palette, I'm going to come over here to my saved colors. And these are all colors that work well with my palette. Okay, so the color I'm going to choose here is going to be a light color because we have a dark circle. Okay, so let's go with that, or maybe even slightly. Okay, let's see. And as you can see, as I'm testing these colors, we can visually see them here, which is fantastic. Right, so I've chosen my color. Now over here, pretty much this is okay because we have a dark color now on top of a really light background. Okay, so I'm just going to reduce this text here. It's a bit too much. Center it, and I'm going to do the same here. Reduce the text, center it. Okay, so this is how you would use this color palette. Now, let's say this color right here that we have is not really working well, and you want to change it. Again, you can always come here. We can go to our recent colors. Expand here. So let's say you want to use a color like that. So as you can see, all these colors now that I'm selecting all pretty much work well. See, even that works fine because we have a light background. We can even go really dark. We can go with this. So even that works well. So as you can see, this will be very, very difficult to achieve if we were copying and pasting colors, because the workflow will be really, really messed up. I mean, you would really have to have colors that you visually see and use them in such a way that you're on one hand visioning to see if these colors work well together in your head, and at the same time, you're trying to make things work. So I think this makes the workflow work much, much better. Now, if you're just joining us, this is the Divi Feature Update Live. We live stream on Facebook and YouTube every Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern. Today, we're talking about the new Divi Color Manager. This is a fantastic update, and pretty much I've gone through how to use these colors on your website as you design. Okay, so I'm just going to take a look here and see if we have any questions. We have Ibrahima saying, very nice, but what about the gradient color? Right, let's take a look at the gradient color. So I'm just going to switch back over here to my site. So let's say you want to add a gradient. So I'm going to come over here to my section settings, click on background color. Now, if you wanted to use your gradient here, same thing. In fact, let me just add them here. So if you come over here to your first color, this is your initial color palette. So you choose your first color. And then over here for your second color, this is where you choose your second color. And then you can adjust your positioning like that. And also the direction, okay? So that's how you would add your background colors. Now, as I mentioned, the initial point, the initial stage is getting your main colors for your website, because as I mentioned, you want to have colors that you start building on. You cannot start building a website with no colors. You do need to initially have your main color. Now, if I give you like real world examples, if you take a look at, let's say, McDonald's, okay, or Barclays, their initial color is blue for Barclays, and then they have complementary colors that work with that. So if they wanted to build a website, they have to use that blue as the base color, and then everything else follows after that. So you do need your initial color first, and then Divi will help you build colors around that. So as you're choosing your colors, as you're building your site, it's helping you choose colors, which I think is fantastic. So do make sure that you have your initial colors that work with your brand or your website, and then Divi will help you create color palettes that work with the colors that that you have as your base colors. Okay, so I'm just going to close this. Right, let's take a look here and see if we have more questions. Ratapula says, each new options you're bringing to us is awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. And we have quite a lot of features, coming your way. And it's going to be really, really exciting. In fact, what Divi is turning into now is a full package, not just a web design tool, but also a graphic design tool. Because as you can see right now, we've spent almost 30 minutes talking about color. Now, this is a subject which is huge. Now, to have this in your web design tool is fantastic, because you don't have to go to Photoshop to try and get colors that work well together, or Illustrator, or even some online websites to start creating color palettes. Everything now is within Divi, which is really, really cool. Right, so let's take a look here, see if we have any questions. Okay, right, switch over here to Facebook. Okay, so it looks like we don't have any questions here on Facebook. Torrent says, would it be possible to create a tutorial video on how to move a completed Divi site from a development server to a live site in a simple process? Yes, this is something that we can work on, but if you want to take a quick look, I created a video on my channel showcasing a plugin that is free to use, which pretty much does that job, because that's how I create my websites. I develop them locally on my computer, and then once I'm happy with everything, I upload everything online. In fact, I'll leave a link in the comments box to that video, but it's on my own personal channel. Okay. Yes, Matt, that's right. The tutorial I did is using the all-in-one migration. It's a fantastic tool. It pretty much migrates everything, and I mean like literally everything. You don't have to worry about links not working well together. So let's say on your local machine, it's mac.local, which it will be the extension. If the website that I need to put the website on is called maybe, let's say, my Mac website, you don't have to worry about mapping all my domain, my links. It just does pretty much everything, and it's so easy to use. In my years of using Divi, I've never seen a plugin that just works out of the box just like that. I mean, this is fantastic. So check it out. Right. It looks like we don't have any more questions. Okay, I'm just going to check here on Facebook as well. Right, so do go ahead and try this feature, this new Divi update. You need to be running Divi version 3.9 in order for you to get these features. Okay, so pretty much we've come to the end of our show. If you have any more questions, please do leave them in the comments box, and I'll also do my best to go to those comments after the show and respond to them. So once again, I would like to say to everyone that joined me today on this show, thank you very much, and I really appreciate you taking your time out to join me on this show. I really, really appreciate it. Next week, we're going to have another feature update, so do join me again at 6 a.m. Eastern, and also, if you have any questions, I know I keep saying this, but it's very important. We are here to help you out. Just leave your comments in the comments box, and I'll do my best to respond to that. All right, so I'm just going to take a quick break now, go in the sun. We have lovely weather here in Birmingham, and I hope everyone has a great week, and I will see you again on Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern. Take care, everyone, and appreciate you joining me on this show today. Take care.